Hey there, horror movie tea sippers.
The following podcast episode will contain spoilers for the movie we are about to review. If you have not seen the movie and do not wish to have anything ruined prematurely, please do not continue to watch or listen until you have seen the movie.
And welcome to the Horror Movie Tea Podcast. Today, we are covering Se7en, which came out in 1995. But before we go into the review, let's grab our cups and talk about tea. You're never going to believe this, but we changed out our tea. It's amazing. So I am drinking the Yogi Raspberry Leaf, which has raspberry leaf.
Awesome. Mine is actually the one with the laundry list. I am drinking Republic of Tea's Peppermint Bark Tea, and it has organic peppermint, organic green rooibos, organic cocoa extract, natural flavors, organic blackberry leaves, and organic monk fruit.
And for our tea sippers out there, brew yourself a cup of tea, sit back, relax, and we hope you enjoy the review. So for the summary of Se7en, it's this killer that does his kills based off of the 7 deadly sins, and these two detectives go to apprehend him. Yep.
That's the most bare summary. But sure, yes, that works.
So for
summaries.
Entertainment, this movie, I will say I had decently high expectations because Megumi had nothing but good things to say. My husband had a friend that had nothing but good things to say. So I'm like, how good is this movie going to be? And I gotta say, it really did meet expectations. Which is crazy. Mm-hmm. So I give it a 7.75. I will say I did not appreciate, especially with the first kill, how gross it was.
I honestly forgot about all the bugs. To be fair, I honestly forgot about all the bugs. I would have warned you about that.
It's fine. It's fine. But
it was only one scene.
It was just unpleasant.
I know.
But then whenever Morgan Freeman's character went back there the second time, I was looking all around. I'm like, there's gonna be another bug, and then there ended up not being.
Which was kind of surprising.
Yeah. But I'm grateful. The killer is really interesting, and the concept of tying the murders to the 7 deadly sins keeps you engaged because you're kind of like guessing how he's going to do it, like what it means, things like that. Mm-hmm. The movie does a good job keeping you guessing and slowly revealing information. The twists are well done, especially the ending, which is both surprising and bittersweet.
Mm-hmm. Very sad.
It's one of those movies that pulls you in and keeps building the tension as it goes. And it's like the payoff does feel satisfying, but yeah, it is sad. It is sad. Brad Pitt does an excellent job. Honestly, this is one of the favorite roles I've ever seen him in. Morgan Freeman is also great, but
when
honestly,
is he not?
Yeah. Honestly, Morgan Freeman can be good at anything he does.
Seriously.
So, yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen him in a bad role.
Yeah. Their dynamic works really well, especially with the constraint between Pitt's more emotional character and Freeman's more calm, experienced one. I also thought it was kind of funny how quickly the wife felt comfortable. Or like how like on the first day or whatever, he was like, oh, she wants to talk to you. And I thought it was also sweet how...
It was the second day, but still, yeah.
Well, yeah, and how she, like, opened up to him and stuff like that. The movie is, dark and gritty, and it fits perfectly with the whole tone. But, yeah, it's like, it's not a flashy movie, but it is very effective with, like, setting the mood. The crime scenes... can be pretty intense and gory and hard to watch. but, it makes sense for what it is.
I'm glad they didn't show too much with the lust scene.
Yes.
I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah, the description of it, like him describing
the
what
pictures
he had to do.
and the description were
it was
more
enough.
than enough.
It was enough.
That was didn't need any more. Thank you for not giving us any more.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
The kills are creative and tied to the sins in interesting ways, though some of them work better than others, but for the most part they're pretty good. And the horror definitely comes from like the psychological aspect more than what's shown on screen. Yeah, as we just demonstrated, sometimes not showing is even more impactful than...
Or works just as well.
Yes. So...
It's not necessarily a detriment.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I got.
Yes. So this is not my first watch. When I had heard that she had not seen this one before, I insisted on it. I'm glad I didn't hype it up too much.
I'm glad you didn't either.
But it is a really good movie, and it sticks with you, I feel like. This one has stuck with me a while. And honestly, this is one of my husband's favorites as well. Personally, I give it an 8. Their acting is, on the whole, really, really well done. There is one line in particular that breaks the immersion for me, and we'll get to that later. But on the whole, it's done really well. The interactions between the characters feel organic. There's not really any forced lines or anything apart from that one that I can think of or recall. The kills, quote unquote, are varied and interesting, if a bit gross, and very well thought out. So that was good. The set design was done really, really well. Everything was very intentional in this movie, and I really appreciate that. There's a typical ego contest or butting of heads between the two characters, especially at the beginning, that I feel like was a little unnecessary. Totally get it. It is fairly realistic. I just personally didn't need as much as they gave. But that's just me. It's fine otherwise. Like, no big deal. The imagery in the opening credits even is really interesting. Yeah. I did have a slight gripe with it toward the end of the opening credits. If you're going to go through the trouble of writing your psychotic scrapbook or manifesto, maybe don't bind it by sewing through the words you just wrote. Again, nitpicky thing. It's fine. Still very interesting to see. I usually honestly skip through a lot of opening credits, so for me to sit there and watch like all of it was pretty good. They do build a bit of a rapport between the two detectives. One is retiring, the other is coming in, kind of taking over in the role. So of course there's going to be a bit of butting of heads, but like there's a little bit of let's try to connect too and like see where the other's coming from, maybe get a different perspective. Can we at least work together on this to catch this guy? So that was kind of nice. The wife, they make her out for part of the movie to be like a little overbearing, like she's constantly leaving messages for him or trying to call him or things like that. But dude, you just moved into the city. You don't know anyone. She has made it perfectly clear that you have no support system. It's just you two. And you're in a job that's a little unpredictable. So, I mean, you're all she's got. She hasn't found a job yet. She's looking, but the conditions aren't great. So cut her some slack. And it just makes her, it makes it that much harder at the end to what happens. It just makes it so sad at the very end. And you can tell he does love his wife. He just feels like there are times when there's a little much communication. But it's out of a place of love. So, just sad. I have a few nitpicky things in the realism that breaks it a little bit for me, like out of the movie experience. But it's more of a... We'll get there. That's fine. It's just annoying as hell. I do find it hilarious. Their home is so close to the subway that it vibrates every time a train goes by.
That's
so every
bad.
few minutes, I love that they can laugh at it, though.
Yeah.
Especially when Morgan Freeman busts out laughing. Soothing, relaxing, vibrating home. I'm sorry. In that situation, you have to laugh to keep from crying.
Yeah.
And you got to respect the hustle that the real estate agent pulled, because damn, well on you for pulling that off, because that's messed up, man. That's messed up. Some of the kills were gross and uncomfortable, but it is murder, so, you know, take that as you will. I did laugh and was very grateful when Morgan Freeman threw the metronome across the room, more out of frustration about the case than anything. But honestly, like, I know it's soothing to some people, but just seeing it on the table, I would have smashed the thing. But also, if anything disturbs my sleep, I'm ready to maim. So, because I don't get much of it as it is. But it's fine. That's mostly what I have for entertainment. Everybody did a great job in this. The only line that really broke the entertainment for me, and I was sitting there questioning, was that really the best take, was at the very, very end, when Brad Pitt finds out about his wife and says the line, "Oh God, oh God." His posture, his facial expression, everything has been done so well up to that point. And then he says that line, and it's just, that was really the best take y'all had? And then it goes back to being a really good scene after that. It's just that one part that I'm like, oh God, y'all could have cut that part out altogether. Just tell him, do it without the line, could you? That's what I got for entertainment.
Realism.
Thankfully, for this one, we don't have to worry about supernatural elements.
Yes.
It is all largely based in modern-ish times. I mean, it's, dear God, this is 30 years ago. 31.
So I give it a 3.5 just because, the reaction from both detectives feel realistic and grounded, especially, given, the severity of the crimes. The emotional contrast between the two leads, and their responses, and it's like I could see a give or take on how quickly the wife confides in Morgan Freeman's character, but
he's a compassionate guy.
Yeah, he's a compassionate guy, but also, like, he's the only other person she has to talk to. And, I mean, something really important came up, and she doesn't want to, tell him yet. She's not ready to. And so
she wants a third party outside perspective.
Yes. Which, I don't know if I totally agree with him saying to not tell him if she's not going to keep the baby.
I get where he's coming from.
Yeah.
It's still a choice. But based on his experience, I can definitely see where he's coming from.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't necessarily have to agree with his perspective.
Right.
But,
yeah, but it was a perspective that he at least, like, explained.
And he was honest.
Yes.
He was very honest about everything.
Yes.
Even about his, like, not a day goes by where I don't wonder what would have happened if we had gone the other way.
Yeah.
So, I appreciate that.
Yeah. The world building feels fairly grounded. The killer is, like, all the way that they described him of being, like, so methodical and stuff. Like, it did feel, all the kills felt very methodical and driven, and yeah. My only thing is, like, the logistics of some of the kills did seem a little far out there, but I mean, the killer does explain himself as being, he kind of almost feels like he's, I guess, I don't know, a messenger is a way to put it.
He said he felt chosen.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, okay, if that's kind of your motivation, then maybe that is enough to...
They didn't give a solid explanation, but I feel like part of the point of the movie's message was there is not going to be a satisfying explanation.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, because that's unfortunately murder in general. And I mean, there's some more clear-cut cases, but sometimes it's random and it's just because they were there, or, there's something else going on that, just because...
A lot of times the reason doesn't feel sufficient, regardless.
Yeah, yeah. Which, I mean, it's rarely ever is. Like, yeah. But,
a lot of it seems so petty.
Yeah. But anyways, that's what I got.
Yeah. I give it a 3. So once again, we were very close. Once again, we were very close.
Dang.
We'll just start from the very beginning. So in that very, very first crime scene, the one that has nothing to do with the serial killer, when Morgan Freeman's character asks, did the kids see what happened with the parents? That's a great question. And I like that they have that in there. It really does highlight that despite all the years that he's been doing this job, he still has great compassion and empathy for those involved. And sympathy as well, but compassion and empathy. And I'm a little annoyed that the person that he was talking to, like, dismisses that and looks down on it even. Like, that is not something to be discouraged. That's something to be celebrated. Apathy, like they talk about later in the movie, is a choice, and it can often be, like, the easier route. But in a way, like, compassion and empathy can, while sometimes getting in the way a little bit, can also help you look in a different perspective.
Yeah.
And help you really put yourself in the shoes of the victim and even sometimes the killer. So, again, not to be discouraged. Let's celebrate it instead. And again, the fact that he's retained that despite how many years he's been going at this is honestly incredible. He's still a little bit jaded, obviously. Yeah. But
it'd be hard.
He hasn't lost himself completely. So
yeah, like I can picture like you hardening over the years, and
of course, absolutely.
But yeah, keeping the empathy is obviously well, and then
saying, what does it matter? It's not our job at that point. Okay, but you can still, they're a human being, and that's a kid. Like, you can hope that they don't have as much trauma as they could.
Well, and you know, I feel like how you approach them would be different if they didn't see it versus if they did. Mm-hmm. Like, if they did, maybe you would want to approach them a bit more gently. I mean, you'd still want to be gentle either way, but it's like a little bit more gently, maybe tactfully. Potentially like recommend a psychologist or something, you know, just that it might change your steps towards how you're treating them.
Or talk to the Child Protective Services and mention, hey, they've seen this.
Yes.
They're going to have a bit more trauma than normal. So if you could maybe go ahead and proactively take some of the steps, things like that would also help get them placed a little easier wherever they're going to go after. So it would help smooth things over in the system, I feel like, and make things a bit more efficient as well.
Yeah.
Just saying. Again, typical pissing contest between the two. Fair. Don't need as much of it entertainment-wise, but fair. Stupid metronome that I would break within 5 minutes. It is a nice gesture at the next crime scene for Brad Pitt's character to have the coffee ready. It's a bit of a bummer that Morgan Freeman didn't take it. I like that he kept one, though, and, like, handed it to a different officer. And I'm sure that officer appreciated it. Caffeine is always appreciated. So, you know. Next crime scene. Greed's crime scene. Brad Pitt was touching things at the crime scene as they were processing it with no gloves on. But he worked homicide for 5 years. Then at Morgan Freeman's office, the name they were scraping off of the door keeps changing levels of progression. Again, nitpicky things. This is fine. Morgan Freeman then goes back to the original crime scene with Gluttony. The gross one. The really, really gross one. But the keep out sign was on the inside of the door. Should have been on the outside of the door.
Whoops.
At the crime scene. To, you know, tell people to keep out on the outside.
Friend.
You put your elbow down and he fell.
Sorry.
And then at that same crime scene, Morgan Freeman then touches things at the crime scene with no gloves on. He moves the fridge and takes the note. Also, no picture taken for reference of the word gluttony with the note there. They did take a picture of Gluttony after the fact, but it wasn't as it was originally there. I don't know if that'd be admissible or not. I feel like it wouldn't be, because it was after the fact. Like, he broke into the crime scene to take another look at it. Like, there are procedures for this.
Yeah.
There are procedures for this.
There's procedures.
Then the unknown subject is extremely careful not to leave any prints or DNA behind, but they suddenly find fingerprints patterned on the wall to spell "help me" at Greed's crime scene. The two detectives know it doesn't fit, but everyone else, including their boss, is calling the match to the prints the perpetrator. Like, that's the suspect. No, at that point they are a person of interest. It doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense with the MO and what you've seen. This guy is way too methodical. You would think their boss would be like, you know what, you're right. I honestly don't understand how Sloth Guy was still alive, though. I counted off for that because I feel like, no. And at the hospital, the doctor even was like, he'd die of shock if you shined a flashlight in his eyes. I'm sorry, what happened with the transition between going from the apartment to the ambulance to the hospital with the bright-ass lights? Because I feel like that's a lot of changes with air, with light, with everything that he wouldn't be used to. So, no. And nobody complained about the smell. I know there was a crap ton of air freshener things strewn everywhere, but I feel like that still wouldn't have done a whole lot. I feel like there still would have been some issues raised by the other tenants or someone. But the landlord said there were no complaints from the other tenants about him. He obviously didn't complain about anyone else. Not that he could. And the rent was paid on time. So, cash is king. Of all the effed up deaths in the movie, I think lust was probably the worst, in my opinion. I hope that it was fairly quick. I fear that it was not. But it was awful. And I hate that contraption. Just looking at the picture that they had of it was not okay. The fact that he threw the metronome again. Fair. I do like how they also showed the different coping techniques of each detective. So, like, Brad Pitt leaned on his wife, and he sought connection with her and told her he loved her. And he was reminding himself that there are good people out there, and he's doing it for them. Morgan Freeman threw a knife at a dartboard and went to the library a lot. To each their own. And he had a metronome to try to fall asleep to and not lose his mind too. Again, to each their own. And then the guy walks into the police station covered in blood. Nobody says anything or tries to intercept him until he yells out, "Detective." Like, nobody notices him. He's in Cop Central.
Yeah.
Nobody glances at him, sees the blood, and is like, excuse you, sir, are you okay? Do you need help? At the very least. Like, what's going on? Nah, just gonna wait until he yells to get someone's attention. This is fine and makes perfect sense. I have concerns. I have so many concerns. And then Brad Pitt again did so well in the scene where he found out about his wife. He really did. Right up until, oh God, oh God. Broke the movie experience in that moment. Had to have been a better way to deliver that line. Had to have been. He did so well. He did so well until then. But that's what I got for realism. It's mainly the fact that they're both seasoned enough detectives and they're touching all the things in the crime scene with no gloves. Stop it, please. Please. I was about to have an aneurysm at the second scene.
Well, with that being said, thank you for joining us today, and let us know what you thought of the movie. If you'd like to recommend a movie, game, or tea, you can leave us a comment or join our Discord server. And if you'd like to keep up to date with our content, you can find our link tree listed below.
And if you'd like to support the podcast, please subscribe, like, and share our content. We also have a Teespring and a PayPal donate button available if you'd like to support us monetarily. And again, you can find all of those sites mentioned linked below. But until the next time, guys, stay safe and stay spoopy.
Bye.
Bye.
So cute.